let's take it back to probably one of the most talked about things in sport this year, apart from the World Cup, the football World Cup that's currently happening. It is the start of the LIV Golf Tour, which I met you at back in June, started in June. And this has been causing literal shockwaves within the golf profession, which I'll give my kind of perspective before I throw it over to you, is that this was a profession and a sport which was overdue some injection of inspiration and innovation. And I know that there was a lot of just a lot of talks around the, to be honest, it was the morality side of things that then gets flipped towards the corporate side of things. I think there's a lot of misunderstandings. But first up, I just like, this is the first year. I don't think you have any actual part within LIV Golf. Is that correct?
No, just helping them think through certain aspects of how their business strategy would go.
Yeah, so I would love to know how you think it's gone this year. Challenges that you guys have faced are quite obvious, but yeah, I would just like to get your thoughts, kind of reflecting on what's happened this year and looking forward to next year. You guys have huge ambitions, so yeah.
Yeah, just a disclaimer, Tom Young is not a paid shill of LIV Golf. It's okay. So he's not doing this. He's asking questions. He was there at the first day at Centurion, not for any reason besides we're being friends. Okay. So Tom, let me ask you, what was your first impression of Centurion and the launch of LIV?
Yeah, so it was that was actually a good disclaimer. I hadn't even considered that, but yeah, absolutely. In no way this is a shill. I just love golf. So yeah, I went and met you there. That was actually just a coincidence. I kind of messaged you before. I was like, "Are you going to go?" And you were like, "Yeah, obviously." So we met, and I'd never been to the Centurion Club. Was there with a couple of friends, and the truth is that we were there on the very first day, on the Friday, or the Thursday. I can't remember which day. I think it was the Thursday, and it was an awesome day out. I've been to loads of golf tournaments, like dozens, some of the biggest courses in the world. Been to Open Championships, been to majors, been to lots of Wentworth, loads of times, loads of tournaments. This was a very, very different atmosphere. There was a lot of controversy going into it, leading into it. Had an amazing day out. The players seemed chilled. It's the small things, but you guys, to have that as your first event, for anyone going into a hospitality event and delivering a product like that, we were very impressed. And I was with people who work in hospitality. We were unimpressed with one thing, because we always have to even this out. You guys did not serve full pints. You served cans, and the guys were not happy about that. And yeah, so if you have any way of improving that for next year, that was the only thing. Full pints.
Great feedback. Great feedback. Thanks for that, man. It's been an amazing journey to be right alongside my dad, watching him go through this. It's been awesome. It's been awesome. Why I say it's awesome, because I think going to go down to one of the biggest disruptions of a legacy organization in history, and it should never have gone that way. This is what people need to understand. LIV Golf and the people behind it were already working within the PGA Tour. And all you have to do is look at the Saudi Arabia Invitational 2019. That was a collaboration between the PIF and Saudi Aramco with the PGA Tour to bring golf to Saudi. And then a lot happened in between there, and then thus LIV Golf was born to be able to fix a lot of the fundamental issues behind the legacy organization. And the people need to understand the business model of it. It's to build up the franchise value of the players and the brands, which is not the way the PGA Tour does, or any other major organization. Well, I should say, like NFL, PGA Tour, NBA, and the NFL have a lot of similarities. And the Formula One is the best analogy to look at. Formula One went from 0 to 1. It didn't make a profit for a very long time, but they built up over time to build those teams to have tremendous value. So then you have the Red Bulls come in, you have the Ferraris come in to sponsor, brand, and execute on their franchise value, their operations. And then Formula One just sets the stage for them to be able to do it. And that's what the LIV is doing. So flip the script where the players like the Phils, the Dustins, the captains, and their players are intrinsically connected to the success of LIV. So as the players grow their franchise value, their operations, their brand, their business, that brings back to how the ROI returns for LIV. And that is, one day you will see a major organization sponsor or acquire a LIV golf team. That's the core of it. And then those players have to work hard to develop their business models around it. How Dustin needs to think about how Four Aces is now his brand. He needs to hire folks to be able to run that brand and execute on, just like the Red Bull Formula One team had to do or does. Right. So it flips the script. Now the players are intrinsically involved with it. Knowing the insides of the PGA Tour membership, they're not connected financially that way. They're connected through incentivized models like paydays from winning prize money, sponsorships that are connected to it, PIF, the social media performance side of things, but they don't own equity into it, but now they do. And that is shining a light on how business models should be run, that you need to share in the upside with those folks that are responsible for its development. Just like a major tech company. Major tech company shares equity in their development. So folks like engineers are incentivized to build the product better because they're going to be taken care of on the back end because they own equity to it. Same thing for here. So it's been phenomenal to walk down the course from the early days of my dad as he talked about wanting to do this, to see him implement it at scale over the course of really 14 months. That's how quick it's been. And so we were supposed to launch the real season in 2024, but due to the success of the players, how happy they are, we're launching in 2023, sorry. So this is the launch of the league coming up here, where beforehand it was just beta season. And I said before in this interview, people are figuring things out on the fly. In a startup, you really figure things out on the fly, iterate and grow and develop based upon feedback. And we just went through an insane amount of feedback really quickly to be able to figure out how to grow. And most importantly, the folks that were here in the C-suites, the executives, to the on-site staff, to the volunteers, everyone was just so hyper engaged because they were loving being part of this so much that it was allowed to scale so quickly and be effective as it was, because there's so many brilliant, smart people from the upper echelon to on-site, boots on the ground, making sure the event went off well, that the players were taken care of, that the caddies were taken care of, that the families were taken care of. And being around golf for as long as I have and seeing tournaments for as long as I have, here's a little insight that I just absolutely love to see about LIV versus the tour, is that on tour, you would be very much siloed off. You would go to one event, to one event, to one event, go with your family, your coach, your caddy, and just go from one to one to one, not interact with anyone else. This is after every round of golf at LIV, everyone from the staff members at LIV to the players, to the caddies, to the family members, to their friends and family, everyone congregates back in the clubhouse, has dinner, has a cocktail, has a beer, laughs, hugs, and the energy is so high around that, because the only way I could think of it, and this is just from my perspective, because everyone thinks they know they're part of something really unique and special. You would never have that before. After a round on Sunday and LIV, people would come back to the clubhouse and celebrate whether they won or lost, which is just so fucking cool. That's such a unique aspect of it that maybe doesn't get enough light, but that thing right there is probably the secret sauce, because everyone is really behind this, because it's so much fun for them, but they're also can see how if we all work together, it can really fundamentally change how maybe not just golf, but sport can be done.
It's funny because to me, that was quite clear. So after a couple of rounds of LIV, that was the feedback from a lot of the players, was that they were just having a fun more relaxed time. That was the consistent feedback. It was just like, we're enjoying ourselves. And it feels to me as if like the institution of golf that currently has existed for like decades now, they were just there and they were like, no, golf is this, this, and this, and it is played in this way. And that's the end, that's the be all and end all. And we make the rules, and that is it. Now, when I grew up, I was desperate to be a professional golfer. Like, that was my thing, was that I wanted to be a professional golfer. I loved it, was obsessed with it. And it became clear to me when I was just clearly not good enough that that was never going to be the case. But it's only now when I'm in my 30s and I'm asking you the question of how the fuck do you deal with all this travel as a super busy business entrepreneur and former like professional athlete who has grown up around basically a father who is every single week being in a different place on earth. And I'm looking there as a 30-year-old and being like, do you know what? Like, that must have been so hard, like being away from your family, not seeing your children grow up, which is the classic thing that a lot of the live players have said. The feedback is they get to see their family now. And for me, it was an incredible experience being able to see you will bloom at that first stage. At the moment, it's kind of an interesting period of time because we're going into next year. Will this be your first full technical season? Is that what you're calling it? That's like the tour season?
It's the launch. We're out of beta into the